The moment he saw her standing alone in a room full of laughter, something inside him broke. It wasn't the kind of silence you notice at first glance. It was deeper than that, like the world had quietly decided she didn't belong in it. Waiters brushed past her, guests smiled at each other over sparkling glasses, and not a single person seemed to realize that the young girl in the corner wasn't just quiet, she was invisible. Before we step into this story, take a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small actions to change lives, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Story House. Stories like this deserve to be felt by everyone. Arman Siddiqui wasn't supposed to be at that party. He didn't belong among crystal chandeliers and million-dollar conversations. His suit was clean but worn at the edges, his shoes polished but old. He was there because life had a strange way of placing him exactly where he needed to be, even when he didn't understand why. As a single father, Arman had learned to survive on little. His mornings began before sunrise, packing lunches, ironing a small uniform, tying shoelaces for his 6-year-old son, Zion. His days were long, juggling 2 jobs, one as a delivery driver, another as a part-time caretaker at an elderly home. Nights were quieter, but never easy. Bills stacked up, exhaustion lingered, and yet, he never let his son feel the weight of it. Because Arman knew what it meant to feel alone. Years ago, his wife had passed away suddenly, leaving him with a child and a silence he didn't know how to fill. In that silence, he had found something unexpected: sign language. His son, born with partial hearing loss, had struggled to communicate. Doctors suggested therapy, expensive programs Arman couldn't afford. So he taught himself. Late nights turned into lessons, videos, books, practice. Slowly, patiently, he learned how to speak without words. That language became their bond. And now, somehow, it had brought him here. Arman had been hired last minute to assist with event logistics at one of the city's grandest daytime charity galas, hosted by billionaire industrialist Karim Vardhan. The kind of man whose name opened doors, and closed hearts. The event was meant to showcase generosity, but beneath the polished smiles, there was a quiet competition of wealth and status. As Arman carried trays and adjusted decorations, his eyes kept drifting back to her. The girl stood near a sunlit window, dressed in a beautiful pastel dress that seemed too heavy for her small frame. Her dark hair was neatly tied, her posture stiff, as if she had trained herself not to move too much, not to attract attention. People approached her father, shook his hand, praised his success, but none of them acknowledged her. At one point, a woman leaned down, said something quickly, and walked away before the girl could respond. The girl's hands twitched slightly, as if reaching for words that never came. Arman recognized it instantly. She wasn't shy. She was deaf. The realization hit him like a wave. He watched as the girl glanced around, her eyes searching, hopeful for connection, only to settle again into quiet resignation. It was the same look he had seen in Zion years ago, the look of someone who wanted to belong but didn't know how to enter the world around them. Arman hesitated. This wasn't his place. He was just staff. Crossing that invisible line could cost him his job. People like Karim Vardhan didn't appreciate boundaries being blurred. But then the girl dropped something, a small, delicate bracelet that slipped from her wrist and landed near the edge of the polished floor. No one noticed. Arman did. He walked over, picked it up gently, and for a brief second, the world seemed to pause. The girl looked up at him, cautious but curious. And then, without thinking, Arman spoke. Not with his voice. With his hands. Slowly, carefully, he signed a simple sentence. "Is this yours?" The girl froze. Her eyes widened in disbelief, as if she had just witnessed something impossible. Her hands trembled slightly before she responded, hesitant at first, then faster, more alive. "Yes. Thank you." In that moment, everything changed. the silence around them transformed. It was no longer empty, it was filled with meaning, connection, understanding. For the first time that day, the girl smiled. Not the polite, practiced smile she had shown others, but a real one, bright and unguarded. Her name was Meher. And in the span of a few silent exchanges, Arman became the only person in that room who truly saw her. They talked, about simple things at first. The garden outside. The music she couldn't hear but could feel through vibrations. The way people moved, laughed, existed in a world that often forgot her. Arman listened with his hands, his expressions, his patience. Unbeknownst to them, someone else was watching. Karim Vardhan. He had built empires, commanded respect, controlled rooms with a single glance. But in that moment, he stood still, watching a man he didn't know connect with his daughter in a way he never could. Because Karim had never learned. He had provided everything, money, tutors, care, but not this. Not the one thing Meher needed most. Understanding. As the afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows, the gala continued, but something deeper unfolded quietly in that corner. Meher laughed, silently but fully, for the first time that day. Arman forgot where he was, lost in a conversation that didn't need sound. And Karim felt something unfamiliar. Guilt. That evening, as the event ended and guests began to leave, Karim approached Arman. There was no arrogance in his step this time, only a quiet gravity. He didn't speak immediately. Instead, he looked at his daughter, who stood closer to Arman than she had to anyone else all day. Then, slowly, Karim did something unexpected. He raised his hands. Awkwardly, imperfectly, but with intention. He signed a single word. Stay. It wasn't fluent. It wasn't even correct. But it was a beginning. Arman understood. Over the following weeks, something remarkable unfolded. Karim invited Arman back, not as staff, but as a teacher. A bridge. A guide into a world he had ignored for too long. Arman hesitated at first. His life was already stretched thin. But then he thought of Zion. Of the nights spent learning so his son wouldn't feel alone. And he said yes. Days turned into lessons. Lessons turned into conversations. Karim struggled, failed, tried again. Meher watched, her hope growing with every effort. And slowly, the distance between father and daughter began to close. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Arman's own life began to change too. Opportunities opened. Stability followed. But more than that, he found something he hadn't realized he needed, a reminder that kindness, even in the smallest form, can echo far beyond its moment. All because he chose to speak when others stayed silent. As this story comes to a close, take a moment. If it touched your heart, if it made you feel something real, don't just scroll away. Like, share, and let others experience it too. Stories like this remind us who we can be. And before you go, I have a special request. Comment the word kindness if you believe even the smallest act can change someone's world. Because somewhere, right now, someone is standing in a crowded room, waiting to be seen. Be the one who sees them.